Have you ever felt the sting of being spoken over, as if your presence was nothing more than a shadow in the room? That quiet humiliation when someone ignores your boundaries, dismisses your voice, or treats your feelings like background noise. It doesn't explode like thunder, it eats away slowly like water dripping on stone, wearing down who you are without you even noticing. Here's the truth most people avoid. People treat you the way you've shown them you will allow. It isn't about blame, it's about power. The moment you tolerate disrespect for the sake of peace, you hand over pieces of yourself. You can be kind, generous, even loving, but if you bend every time someone pushes, you're teaching the world that your dignity is negotiable. Stoics remind us that true strength isn't in pleasing everyone. It's in standing so firmly in your worth that others have no choice but to rise to it or fall away. The question is, will you keep shrinking for comfort, or will you draw the line that changes everything? Stay with me, because what comes next may shift the way you see respect forever. As we step into the first chapter, picture this. You're standing in a room where every word you speak seems to vanish before it lands. You explain, you clarify, you justify, and still the other person looks through you like you're invisible. The harder you try, the smaller you feel. It's like shouting into the wind and waiting for the echo that never comes. That ache in your chest is not just frustration. It's the quiet recognition that you are pouring your worth into hands that were never open to receive it. Now imagine this. You finally tell yourself, if I just explain one more time, if I make it clearer, if I soften my tone, maybe they'll understand me. But here's the blunt truth. They won't. Not because you are unworthy. Not because your words lack sense, but because they never intended to listen in the first place. Marcus Aurelius warned us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Yet when you over-explain, you surrender that power, handing it over to someone who has already decided you don't matter. How many trials have you staged in your mind with no jury and no verdict? Think about the energy drained in conversations designed not to understand, but to confuse, belittle, and control. You think you're defending your honor, but in truth, you are negotiating your value with people who already marked it as worthless. That is not a debate. That is a trap. I recall a time when I kept trying to win someone over with words. No matter how carefully I explained my intentions, they twisted my sentences into daggers, turned my tone into evidence against me. Each defense I offered only became another weapon they used. One day, it struck me. I was trying to sell my worth to a buyer who never had the money. That's when I stopped. Silence entered the room like a storm. And for the first time, I felt the ground return beneath my feet. Respect cannot be argued into existence. It appears only when your actions leave no room for doubt. Respect is presence. Respect is action. Respect is boundary. Seneca once wrote, "He who seeks wisdom should not be like the guest who is forever justifying himself. To keep explaining is to perform, not to communicate. Communication is mutual, performance is begging, and when you find yourself constantly explaining, know this: it is not a mark of connection, but of imbalance. Something deeper is off. The people who truly value you will never demand that you build an endless case for your worth. They see you, they hear you, they honor your voice the first time. But the ones who don't, they will drag you into circles, twist your meaning, make you question your sanity, and then blame you for reacting. That is not conversation. That is erosion. At this stage, you must ask yourself, is my voice here to be heard, or is it only fuel for someone else's fire? If the answer is the latter, step back, withdraw your energy. When you stop over-explaining, you start hearing yourself again. You begin to trust your instincts. You begin to defend your time like the treasure it is. You reclaim the rhythm of your own life. Here's where the Stoic perspective cuts deep. Stillness is strategy. The choice not to react is the sharpest blade you carry. Every time you resist the urge to justify, you build the muscle of self-respect. Every time you let your boundaries stand without a speech, you prove to yourself that your worth is not a negotiation. Epictetus reminded us, if someone treats you poorly, remember, it is their judgment, but yours is not to stoop to it. I've seen people perform their value like actors on a stage, hoping applause will finally come. But applause never comes from those who have no intention of clapping. That is the lesson. You don't need perfection, you need presence. What you need is the courage to walk off the stage altogether. The audience that matters doesn't require your performance. And yes, the moment you stop explaining, some will misunderstand you. Some will gossip. Some will label you as cold or arrogant. Let them. Their chatter is nothing more than noise bouncing off walls you no longer occupy. Your job is not to be understood by everyone. Your job is to live in alignment so strong that those who matter recognize it without a word. I remember another moment when I walked away mid-debate, not in anger, but in clarity. The other person was stunned. They expected fire, expected defense, expected me to feed the game. Instead, I left. That silence followed them longer than any words could, because when you deny someone the reaction they crave, you break the cycle. You show them that your dignity is not theirs to toy with. So from here, let's be honest, the strongest, most unshakable act you can take is not to prove, but to preserve. Preserve your peace, preserve your time, preserve your loyalty to yourself. The people who belong in your life will never make you explain why you deserve to be there. They will stand beside you without demanding evidence. This is where you must draw the line. Not with anger, not with endless speeches, with stillness, with presence, with a refusal to be drained by those who are emotionally bankrupt. That is Stoic power, choosing battles worth fighting and leaving the rest behind. And so the next time you feel the urge to explain, pause. Ask yourself, is this person truly trying to understand, or are they only trying to control the story? If it is the latter, withdraw. You owe them nothing, no clarification, no apology, no performance. What you owe is loyalty to yourself. From here, the path is clear. Stop begging to be seen. Start standing in the light you already carry. When you honor yourself, you will attract those who listen the first time, those who respect the unspoken, not just the explained. So let them misunderstand, let them label, let them talk. You have no time to fight with small minds while you are building a strong life. And the moment you choose silence over performance, you step into wisdom, you step into respect, you step into yourself. Moving into the second chapter, imagine this. You hand someone the key to your home, and before long, they come and go as they please. They rearrange your furniture, raid your kitchen, and act like it all belongs to them. The truth is, you never told them otherwise. That is exactly how life works when you have no boundaries. People will walk straight through the door of your existence, not because they are cruel by nature, but because the lock was never turned. Now ask yourself, how many times have you felt that slow drain in your chest after saying yes when you meant no? How many mornings have you woken up bitter, not because others used you, but because you never said stop? Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Boundaries are the trials that prove us. Without them, there is no respect, only quiet erosion. Disrespect doesn't always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it's the steady drip of water wearing stone. It's the joke that cuts even after you said it hurt. It's the friend who always arrives late because your time doesn't matter to them. It's the colleague who texts at midnight asking for favors they'll never return. None of these people shouted at you, but their actions whispered a truth. They believe your life belongs to them more than it belongs to you. And the longer you accept it, the deeper that whisper becomes a command. Here's where the Stoic lesson bites. Peace without self-respect is not peace. It is suppression. Marcus Aurelius warned, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In the same way, waste no more time telling others how to treat you. Show them. Boundaries are not angry speeches or dramatic ultimatums. They are calm lines drawn in steady hands. A locked door, a clear rule, a consequence followed through. I remember a man who told me once that he couldn't understand why people never respected his time. He'd complain about friends showing up late, colleagues dropping work on his desk, family members demanding his weekends. But when I asked him what he did about it, his answer was silence. He had said nothing. He had allowed everything. And in doing so, he trained the world to overlook him. That is the harsh truth. People learn how to treat you by what you tolerate. So let's speak plainly. If you say, "Don't raise your voice at me," but you stay seated when they scream, you didn't set a boundary. You gave an empty warning. If you say, "I'm not available after 8," but you answer the call at midnight, you just redrew the line in sand. Boundaries are not drawn in sand. They are carved in stone, and they hold because you hold them. Calmly, consistently, without apology. At this stage, resistance is certain. People liked the version of you who bent over backwards. They liked the you who said yes when it hurt. They liked the one who laughed at jokes that cut too deep, the one who made excuses to protect their comfort. When you finally stand up, they will push back. They will guilt trip. They will frown. Some will walk away. Let them. Their leaving is not a loss. It is a filter. And what remains is the circle that was always real, the people who respect you not because you bow, but because you stand. And yet here lies the paradox. Boundaries are not against love. They are the soil that lets love grow. Without them, your giving turns into resentment. Without them, your care becomes exhaustion. Authentic connection cannot survive when one person is always drained and the other's always fed. You can love someone and still say, "No more." In fact, it is the only way love becomes sustainable. I've seen it in my own life. Years of saying yes left me hollow until one day I looked in the mirror and whispered, "I betrayed myself again." That was the moment I understood self-betrayal in the name of kindness is not kindness. It is slow death. The day you choose not to betray yourself, even once, you reclaim more than peace. You reclaim yourself. Here's where you begin. You don't start by building walls higher than mountains. You start small. You say no when you mean no. You breathe before you answer. You refuse to explain your why to people who were never listening in good faith. You stop apologizing for the space you take, for the voice you carry, for the standard you set. That is not arrogance. That is self-honor. Epictetus taught, "No person is free who is not master of himself." Boundaries are the chains you cut to become master again. Each time you hold firm, you step further into freedom. Each time you enforce the line without anger, you show the world and yourself that your worth is not negotiable. So let this truth sink in. You were not born to be agreeable. You were not placed here to be everyone's emotional punching bag. You were born to be authentic, and authenticity demands boundaries. Some will resist, some will leave. Let them. For those who remain, the ones who adjust, who respect, who meet you with equal care, those are the companions of your true journey. From here, the choice is simple. Keep betraying yourself in the name of comfort, or begin the daily decision of self-loyalty. Look in the mirror each morning and say, I will not abandon myself today just to make someone else comfortable. That is not selfish. That is sacred. And as you take that first small step, know this: boundaries are not the end of love. They are the beginning of real trust. And once you learn to hold the line, the world around you reshapes itself, not against you, but in your favor. This is where your circle grows smaller, but your life grows stronger. Because the truth is, you don't earn respect by explaining. You earn it by standing, calm, clear, unshakable. And when you do, the right people will not run from you. They will rise to meet you. And that is where the next chapter begins. Advancing to the third chapter, imagine standing in front of someone who has tested your limits again and again. They expect you to fold. They expect you to soften, to back down, to play the role you always played. But this time, you don't. You look them in the eye and hold steady. No shouting, no arrogance, just calm conviction. In that moment, you declare without words, my worth is not up for negotiation. Now picture the silence that follows. It unsettles them more than anger ever could. Because real strength isn't in raising your voice, it's in standing unshaken. It takes courage to set a boundary, but it takes even greater courage to keep it when challenged, to stay rooted when the pressure mounts. To say with your presence alone, I value myself too much to keep letting this slide. That is power, that is strength, and that is what separates the respected from the used. Here's where the Stoic wisdom meets reality. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. The same truth applies here. Protecting your peace does not require permission. It does not need approval. It begins with a decision that your energy, your time, your heart are treasures, and not everyone gets access. Not everyone deserves your yes. Not everyone earns a seat at your table. Boundaries are not about shutting the world out. They are about keeping yourself intact, whole, and aligned with the person you are meant to be. I once knew a woman who always said yes. Yes to helping colleagues who never returned the favor. Yes to staying late though she was exhausted. Yes to jokes at her expense, just to keep the peace. Over time, the brightness in her eyes dimmed. She was liked by everyone, yet respected by none. The day she finally said no, calmly, clearly, everything shifted. Some people drifted away. But those who remained began to value her presence. Respect had replaced convenience. This is where many falter. They confuse being liked with being respected. And let's be clear, being liked is easy. Smile enough, agree enough, avoid conflict, and you'll be liked. But respect is earned differently. It requires backbone. It demands boundaries. It means sometimes you say the uncomfortable truth, make the unpopular choice, or stand alone. And while not everyone will clap for that version of you, the right ones will. But here's the trap we were trained into. As children, we were taught to seek approval. Be the good student. Be the polite one. Don't rock the boat. That training seeps into adulthood, and suddenly you find yourself tolerating what you shouldn't. You excuse behavior that disrespects your time, your energy, your values, all to avoid the sting of disapproval. But ask yourself, what is the true cost of being liked by everyone? If it means losing respect for yourself, then that approval is poison dressed as comfort. Think of it this way: being liked keeps you in the room. Being respected allows you to lead it. Approval is fragile. It vanishes the moment you stop performing. But respect, once earned, endures. Even in disagreement, people who respect you will pause before crossing you. They will weigh your boundaries. They will value your presence. That is real influence. At this stage, remember, people-pleasing is not a success strategy. It is a survival strategy rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being left out. And so you give more than you have. You tolerate more than you should. Yet each time you say yes when you mean no, resentment grows, not at them, but at yourself. You feel it, that quiet frustration that builds in your chest each time you betray your gut just to keep someone else comfortable. The shame is subtle but relentless. You knew better and you chose to ignore it. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." His words cut through the noise. If you truly want respect, you must be willing to risk being disliked. Every time you betray yourself to keep others happy, you teach them that your needs come last. And if your needs always come last, you will eventually disappear from your own life. But respect begins the moment you stop negotiating your worth. It is not about being rude. You don't need to bark to be heard. You don't need to dominate to lead. But you do need to stand tall, to speak with honesty, to say what you mean, even if your voice shakes. Confidence is not born from applause. It is born from alignment, not in how loud you are, but in how rooted you are. Look at the people you admire most. Are they universally liked? Hardly. But they are respected because they have a line, they have a spine. They refuse to compromise integrity to avoid criticism. They don't chase applause, they chase alignment. And because of that, they walk differently, they lead differently, they live differently, and so can you. It takes courage to stop molding yourself to fit into rooms that were never built for you. It takes strength to walk away from approval when it comes at the cost of your values. But on the other side of that courage lies freedom. The freedom to show up fully as yourself, without shrinking, without pretending, without chasing. Yes, you will lose some people. That is the cost of leaving behind the performance. But what you gain is unshakable. You gain peace. You gain clarity. You gain energy that is no longer drained by pretending. And when you stand rooted, calm and unmovable, you discover something profound. Those who truly matter will not demand that you please them. They will respect you for being real. And that is where the next threshold waits. The quiet power of silence and distance, the tools that carry respect beyond words. Entering this chapter, imagine stepping into a room where you no longer feel the need to shrink, no longer desperate to be liked, no longer apologizing for the space you take up. At first, it unsettles people. Some will misunderstand you. Some will walk away. Let them. Because the ones who truly matter will respect the version of you that no longer hides behind masks. Now think about it. How many years have you poured into shaping yourself into what others wanted? The edited version of you. The agreeable version. The one that smoothed every edge just to keep the peace. But peace at that cost is not peace. It is self-erasure. The moment you stop chasing approval and start standing in your power, something extraordinary happens. You reconnect with the unedited you, and that is the person worthy of respect. Here's where Stoic wisdom cuts deep. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." How much of your life has been wasted explaining, defending, reacting to every jab? Not everything deserves a response. Not every comment needs to be answered. Not every conflict is worth your fire. Sometimes the loudest message you can send is silence. Sometimes the strongest move is distance. Picture this. Someone hurls disrespect across the table, expecting you to flinch, to argue, to defend yourself. Instead, you choose calm, you choose silence, you choose stillness. That silence becomes deafening. Because when people are used to controlling you with words, your refusal to engage confuses them. It forces them to sit with themselves. It makes them wonder if their tactics still hold power. And in that wondering, the balance shifts. Distance carries the same weight. It is not about coldness or cruelty. It is about recognizing when proximity is costing you your peace. You don't need to slam the door with drama. You don't need to announce your exit. You simply stop showing up where you are not respected. You let your absence speak in ways your presence never could. Absence, when earned, becomes the sharpest teacher. I once knew a man who spent years arguing with his critics. Every insult met with a defense. Every attack answered. His life was constant battle, constant noise, and yet nothing changed. Then one day he grew tired. He walked away without a word. That silence disarmed his enemies more than years of debate ever had. Because silence is not weakness, it is strategy. It is self-control sharpened into armor. From here, let's be clear. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the presence of intention. It says, I value my energy too much to waste it here. It says, I've outgrown this version of you. It says, I choose peace over performance. And those who are truly secure do not need to defend every accusation or correct every misperception. They let their actions speak. They let their boundaries stand. They let distance deliver the lesson. Think back on the situations that drained you most. Were they worth it? Or did you keep trying to fix things that were never yours to carry? The truth is, not everyone is meant to be confronted. Some people are meant to be removed. Some battles are meant to be left unfought. Not every goodbye needs a speech. Sometimes the most dignified exit is the quiet one. At this stage, understand what true victory looks like. It is not winning the argument. It is not proving your point. It is preserving your dignity. It is looking at a situation and saying, this is beneath me. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. Because when you choose silence and distance, you choose yourself. There will be those who try to bait you, those who prod you for a reaction, those who push your buttons just to prove they still have access to you. And each time you respond, you feed that cycle. But when you refuse, when you withdraw, when you go silent, they lose control. They lose the grip they once had. That is not passivity, that is power. Epictetus said, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. To walk away calmly without needing the last word is to refuse mastery by anyone but yourself. It is to claim your freedom in full. So let this be your reminder. You do not need to be liked by everyone. You need to be respected by the right ones, and above all, by yourself. Stop apologizing for being here. Stop diluting your truth. You are not here to be everyone's favorite. You are here to be real, to be grounded, to be respected. If these words strike you, take a moment to honor your silence. comment "Peace" below as your declaration. And if you want more of this journey, subscribe so you never miss the lessons that keep your mind sharp and your spirit steady. Because in the end, silence and distance are not about rejection, they are about alignment. And once you choose them with intention, you no longer live for applause. You live for peace, and that is the strongest victory of all. At this stage, do not expect everyone to understand you. Some will whisper that you've grown cold. Others will sneer and say you've changed. Good. You are changing. You are evolving. You are learning that your peace is priceless, your energy sacred, and you are finished handing it over to those who only misuse it. Let silence be your reply to chaos. Let distance be your answer to disrespect. Let stillness be your act of rebellion in a world that demands you constantly react. Because in the end, the person with the most control is not the one shouting the loudest. It is the one who no longer needs to prove anything. That kind of mastery is rare. It is a superpower. It keeps you grounded when the world shakes. It keeps you clear when the noise swells. It makes you unshakable in storms others cannot endure. You don't need to raise your voice. You need to raise your standard. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. The Stoics knew this. Seneca warned, "Silence is a lesson learned from the many sufferings of life. Silence is not absence, it is choice, and choice is where freedom begins." But here lies the danger. You do not get what you want in life. You get what you tolerate. Every time you lower your standards, even slightly, you send a message. Maybe not in words, maybe not intentionally, but your actions whisper, "I am willing to accept less than I deserve," and the world listens. We all know that line we swore we would never let anyone cross. But then, someone close tiptoes across it. Instead of holding firm, we shift the line. Just once we tell ourselves, "They're struggling, they didn't mean it, it's complicated." And in those small bends, exceptions pile up. Before long, you wake in a reality built not on standards, but on excuses. Your standards are not rules for others. They are declarations of how much you value yourself. If chaos, inconsistency, and disrespect have a permanent seat at your table, the issue is not only their behavior, it is your decision to allow it. Think carefully. How many times have you let someone slide because you feared being harsh? How many second, third, fourth chances have you given even when the first was enough? Did it improve anything, or did it only teach them that your boundaries bend? The truth is plain. People know what they can get away with. They feel it. They sense when you hesitate to say no. They notice when your lines are drawn in chalk, and they act accordingly. If someone cancels on you again and again, and you keep saying it's fine, you show them your time is disposable. If someone talks down to you and you let it slide to avoid conflict, you show them your dignity is negotiable. If someone calls only when they need something and you always answer, you show them their needs outweigh your boundaries. And here is the turn. When you stop making exceptions, everything shifts. Suddenly people rise to meet your level, or they remove themselves. Both outcomes are victories. You are no longer stuck in the cycle of overgiving, over-explaining, and overcompensating. You are living aligned with your values, not your fears. Yes, upgrading your standards comes at a cost. It may cost you comfort. It may cost you relationships. It may strip away the illusion of control. But what it gives back, self-respect, clarity, peace, is worth infinitely more than the scraps of approval you once begged for. Compassion is not the same as self-abandonment. You can love someone and still say, "This doesn't work for me." You can care deeply and still walk away. You can wish them well and still keep your door closed. That is not cruelty. That is preservation of your soul. Start where you are. Begin with how you treat yourself. Your personal standards are the template for how others will treat you. Do you honor your own promises, or do you abandon them the moment someone else makes a demand? Do you rest when your body cries for it, or do you push into burnout, guilty for slowing down? Every choice you make toward yourself sets the tone for how the world responds. And once you decide to stop betraying yourself, once you choose not to bend, you will see the shift. The wrong people will fall away. The right ones will remain. Your time will be shielded, your energy guarded, your presence seen for what it is. A privilege, not a guarantee. You will know you have raised your standards when peace becomes more attractive than attention, when solitude feels richer than forced company, when saying no feels more powerful than saying yes, just to be liked. That is self-leadership. That is growth over comfort. From here, the path is clear. Stop apologizing for your standards. They are not too much. They are not unreasonable. They are not rigid. They are the foundation of a life that honors who you are, what you value, and where you are going. The ones meant to walk with you will not be offended by your standards. They will thank you for them. So stop making exceptions. Start living the life your highest self already knows you are capable of. Access to you is no longer assumed. It is earned. Raise your standards, hold them high, and watch your life rise to meet them. Because in the end, you are not here to stay small for anyone. You're not here to water yourself down to keep others comfortable. That version of you is gone, finished. What remains is not ego, it is self-respect. And every time you choose yourself, every time you stand firm, every time you let silence speak louder than your defense, you are rewriting your story. Let them misunderstand, let them judge, let them walk away. Their reaction is not your burden. Your only duty is to stand in your worth. Because your energy, your time, your life are not for everyone. They are for those who see your value and meet you there. And when you finally understand this, you will never again need to explain, to chase, or to prove. You will simply live. And in that life, you will be free. We've walked the visible ground, how to stop explaining, how to hold the line, how to choose respect over approval, how silence and distance become your weapons, and how high standards reshape your world. But there's a deeper layer still. The outer stance is nothing without the inner foundation. Because boundaries drawn in sand will wash away unless the mind that drew them is disciplined, clear, and steady. This is where the journey shifts. No longer about managing how others treat you, but about mastering the one realm you always control, yourself. And once that mastery begins, respect is no longer something you chase, it becomes something you carry. Advancing to this next chapter, picture yourself standing in the stillness of early morning before the noise of the world rises to claim you. The quiet is sharp. You can almost hear your own heartbeat reminding you of the truth. The greatest battles are fought not with others, but within your own mind. The enemy is not always the one who disrespects you. Sometimes it is the restless voice inside that urges you to bend, to explain, to betray your own standard just for a fleeting moment of approval. Now imagine the weight of that moment. You are face to face with someone pressing against your boundary, waiting for your collapse. On the surface, it feels like a conversation. But deeper down, it is a test of your inner discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the battlefield the Stoics spoke of. not the noise outside, but the order inside. I recall a time when I was younger, quick to anger, quick to defend, desperate to prove myself right. Every slight was a spark, every disrespect a fire. I thought I was strong because I never backed down, but in truth, I was weak because anyone who wanted my peace could snatch it with a single word. One day, after yet another clash, I sat alone and realized something painful. I had given away my control for free. I had been conquered, not by them, but by my own lack of discipline. That realization cut deeper than their insults ever could. This is where discipline matters most. It is the art of holding steady when your emotions scream for release. It is the pause before you answer, the silence before you react, the breath before you decide. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom does not arrive the moment others respect you. It begins the moment you respect yourself enough to control your own impulses. Think of the soldier who trains day after day, not because the enemy is at the door, but because discipline must be ready before the battle begins. In the same way, the person who practices restraint in quiet moments is the one who will not crumble when storms come. Without inner discipline, boundaries are fragile, easily bent when pressure mounts. But when the mind is trained, when the heart is steady, no push, no insult, no provocation can move you from your ground. Here's where the truth becomes sharp. Lack of discipline costs you more than disrespect. It costs you self-trust. Each time you promise yourself, "Next time I won't fold," and then you do, you chip away at your own belief. Discipline is not about denying yourself joy. It is about proving to yourself that your word to yourself is unbreakable. And when you can trust yourself, the world cannot shake you. Consider the story of a man I once met who worked under a ruthless boss. Every day he was tested, demands beyond reason, insults in front of peers, endless pressure. At first he reacted, he shouted back, defended himself, argued. It only made things worse. Then he changed strategy. He practiced silence. He trained his breath. He refused to be baited. Weeks later, something remarkable happened. His boss stopped targeting him. The attacks moved to others who reacted easily, who could be hooked. His discipline had become his shield. There is power in such steadiness. The world is full of chaos, noise, and provocation. Anyone can shout. Anyone can argue. But few can remain calm under fire. And it is that calm, that inner order, that earns true respect, not just from others, but from yourself. At this stage, you must ask, are you ruled by your feelings, or do your feelings serve you? When anger rises, when fear whispers, when pride tempts you to prove yourself, do you act or do you react? The difference between those two paths is the difference between slavery and freedom. Stoicism teaches us that discipline is not coldness, it is clarity. To pause before you speak is not weakness, it is mastery. To walk away from what insults your dignity is not surrender. It is victory. The one who controls himself cannot be controlled. The one who masters his mind cannot be mastered. So let this sink in. Discipline is not a chain. It is the key. It does not restrict you. It liberates you. It keeps you from being ruled by impulse, from being led by every whim of the crowd, from being enslaved to the chaos of the moment. With discipline, you decide what deserves your energy. With discipline, you choose when to speak, when to move, and when to remain still. And once you taste that freedom, everything changes. No one's opinion can chain you. No provocation can shake you. No manipulation can own you, because you have already won the greatest battle, the battle within. From here, understand this. True discipline is not built in grand moments. It is built in the small choices, repeated daily until they forge unshakable strength. And when that strength is yours, the storms outside lose their power. The next chapter will show how observation, sharpened by discipline, becomes your second weapon, the ability to see people clearly, not as they pretend to be, but as they truly are. Moving into this chapter, picture yourself walking into a crowded room. Conversations buzz, laughter echoes, but instead of being swept up in the noise, you pause. You do not rush to speak. You do not rush to impress. Instead, you watch. You listen. You study the small things, the shift of an eye, the hesitation in a tone, the weight behind words. In that pause, you begin to see what others miss. Now imagine this. A person smiles warmly in public, but speaks harshly when the audience is gone. Another praises kindness, but mocks it in private. If you are not attentive, their mask becomes their truth. But observation, clear, calm, and disciplined, cuts through illusion. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because the one who listens more than he speaks, the one who notices rather than performs, gains a vision others never reach. I once met a man admired by everyone in his circle. His words were polished, his gestures perfect. But I noticed something. Each time a waiter brought his food, his tone sharpened, his courtesy disappeared. That detail told me everything. Respect in public is performance. Respect in private is character. And once you train your eyes to catch such details, you can no longer be deceived by appearances. Here's where Stoicism meets practice. Marcus Aurelius urged himself to penetrate into men's ruling principles and see what judges they truly are. Observation is not suspicion, it is discernment. It is the art of seeing beyond words to the essence of someone's nature. And the more disciplined your observation, the less you are controlled by surface charm, flattery, or manipulation. At this stage, consider how much conflict in your life has come not from what people showed you, but from what you refused to see. The signs were there, the disregard, the small betrayals, the inconsistencies. But you told yourself stories. You justified. You wanted the mask to be real. And in doing so, you betrayed your own clarity. Observation is the antidote to self-deception. Let's take another example. A woman shared with me how she always excused her friend's lateness. She's busy, she'd say. She means well, but lateness, repeated, is not accident. It is a declaration. It says, "My time is more important than yours." Once she finally observed the pattern without excuses, she saw the truth. This was not friendship. It was convenience. Observation revealed what her heart had tried to cover. Observation is not only about others. It begins with yourself. Seneca reminded us, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. That delay, that pause, is observation turned inward. You catch your impulses before they rule you. You notice the rise of your temper, the shift of your tone, the weakness of your excuses. You become both actor and audience of your own life, and in that double vision, you gain control. Here's the paradox. Most people rush through life blind, thinking speed is strength. They talk over others. They fill silence with noise. They miss the subtle cues that reveal everything. But the one who slows down, who watches carefully, who reads the room like a map, he is the one with true advantage. Because power lies not in being the loudest, but in seeing what others cannot. I remember a meeting where one man spoke endlessly, convincing himself he was leading. But another man sat quietly, listening, making notes. At the end, with only a few words, he shifted the entire direction of the room. Why? Because while others scattered their energy, he gathered truth. Observation had armed him. From here, understand that observation is not about paranoia, it is about clarity. It teaches you to see who values you without words, who respects you without applause, who is consistent when no one is watching. And once you know this, you stop wasting energy on those who only act. You invest in those who show, so let your eyes sharpen, let your ears listen deeply, let silence be the space where truth reveals itself. When someone mocks in jest, observe the edge behind the humor. When someone praises too loudly, observe what they hope to gain. When someone shows up with small acts of steadiness, observe that too, because that is where real trust is built. This kind of seeing changes everything. You no longer stumble into traps. You no longer beg for loyalty from the disloyal. You no longer trade your peace for illusions, because you have trained yourself to notice, to discern, to choose wisely. And when observation becomes your habit, you move differently, calmer, sharper, stronger. You're no longer dazzled by surface or swayed by noise. You see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. That is clarity. That is power. And it prepares you for what comes next, transforming disrespect itself into the training ground for your resilience. From here, picture yourself standing in the middle of an insult. Someone cuts you down, dismisses your effort, mocks your presence. The sting is sharp, and everything inside you rises: anger, shame, the urge to defend. But imagine if instead of collapsing or exploding, you used that very moment as training, not punishment, not humiliation, but practice. The disrespect becomes your gym. Every jab is a weight you learn to lift. Every slight is resistance that shapes you. Now think of this. The hardest steel is forged in fire, not in comfort, not in applause. In the same way, your strength is not born in the calm of agreement, but in the friction of disrespect. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What if every insult, every dismissal, every cold shoulder was not an obstacle but an opening to build endurance, clarity, and resilience? I remember a young colleague who was constantly overlooked in meetings. She spoke, and her words fell flat. Others took credit for her ideas. At first, she grew bitter, tempted to lash out, tempted to quit. But instead, she chose another path. She treated each slight as practice. She trained her composure. She strengthened her delivery. She watched carefully, refined her timing, and learned to insert her voice like a blade at the right moment. Months later, the same room that once ignored her fell silent when she spoke. What changed? Not them, her. Disrespect became the crucible that sharpened her presence. Here's where the Stoic lesson runs deep. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." To be disrespected is to be given the weight others think will break you. But when you lift it, when you remain calm, when you turn insult into practice, the very thing meant to weaken you becomes your strength. It's not about letting people mistreat you. It's about refusing to waste the pain. At this stage, ask yourself, how often have you replayed an insult in your head, letting it gnaw at your peace? How often have you wasted nights arguing with ghosts that don't hear you? Every replay drains you. Every imagined comeback makes you smaller. But when you use the moment as training, the energy shifts. You stop asking, why did they treat me like this? And start asking, how can I grow stronger from this? That change of question is the beginning of freedom. Let's step into another image. Picture a boxer in the ring. He doesn't curse the punch that lands. He studies it. He adjusts. He strengthens. Disrespect is no different. You cannot control that it arrives, but you can decide whether it breaks you or builds you. Every jab tests your stance. Every dismissal teaches you how much of your worth depends on external validation. Every harsh word asks, do you believe in yourself enough to stand without applause? Here's the paradox. The people who tried to cut you down are the ones who gave you the tools to rise. They became unknowing teachers, pushing you to practice composure, patience, and clarity. Without them, your strength would have remained dormant. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit. The disrespect reveals not their power, but your untrained places. And once you see that, you can choose to train instead of collapse. I knew a man once who was constantly mocked for his quiet nature. People thought his silence meant weakness. He admitted that at first he burned inside, desperate to prove them wrong. But then he shifted. He stopped taking their mockery as insult and started treating it as opportunity. He refined his listening. He grew sharper in reading others. He practiced speaking less, but with more weight. In time, his presence commanded more respect than those who had mocked him. His stillness became his strength, all because he chose to treat disrespect as training, not torment. This is where your transformation begins. When insult arrives, you can react like a slave to emotion, or you can use it like a soldier uses weight to build muscle. It's not denial, it's discipline. You are not pretending the pain isn't real. You are choosing to turn it into something useful, and when you live this way, you walk differently. Disrespect no longer rattles you. You expect it. You even welcome it, not as approval, but as resistance. Each slight is another rep. Each push is another chance to prove your ground. People who meant to break you instead end up shaping you. And you no longer resent them, you outgrow them. At the close of this chapter, remember this truth. Disrespect is not always destruction. It can be construction. It can be the weight that forges resilience, the fire that tempers steel, the shadow that teaches you to value the light. And once you embrace this, you no longer fear the insult, you use it. The next step will take you further still, to shift from training on resistance toward honoring yourself as priority, choosing self-loyalty as the unshakable foundation of respect. At this stage, picture yourself at a crossroads where the noise of the world collides with the quiet pull of your own heart. One path is crowded, full of voices telling you who to be, what to accept, what to sacrifice. The other is narrow, almost silent, but it leads back to you. This is where the real choice emerges. Whether you keep pouring yourself into everyone else's demands, or you begin to honor your own life as the first and highest priority. Now imagine the fatigue that builds when you keep choosing the crowd. You say yes when your body screams no. You stretch yourself thin to please people who barely notice. You smile through exhaustion because you fear being called selfish. Yet, selfishness is not the danger here, self-abandonment is. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. How much of your life has been wasted by giving away pieces of yourself to people who only take? I recall a friend who prided himself on being dependable. Everyone leaned on him. Every crisis became his to solve. But behind closed doors he was hollow, drained, worn down to the bone. One evening, after yet another emergency that wasn't his to carry, he broke down and whispered, "I don't even know who I am anymore." That's what happens when you never choose yourself. you disappear. Here's the lesson the Stoics would drive home. No one can respect you if you refuse to respect yourself first. Epictetus said, "If you want to be respected by others, begin by respecting yourself." Respect is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. It means treating your energy, your time, and your peace as sacred resources, not cheap currency handed out to anyone who asks. From here, let's get real. How often do you betray yourself for the sake of comfort? You agree to conversations that drain you. You entertain relationships that belittle you. You stay silent in rooms where your voice is needed. Each betrayal may seem small, but together they carve away your spirit. The cost is invisible at first, until one day you wake up bitter, exhausted, and resentful, not at others but at yourself. Imagine instead drawing the line inward. You tell yourself, "Today I will not abandon me." That single promise changes everything. It means saying no when you mean no, even if it disappoints someone. It means resting when your body cries for it, even if the world keeps running. It means keeping the promises you make to yourself with the same loyalty you give to others. That is not indulgence. That is integrity. I knew a woman who lived years in the shadow of others' needs. Her calendar was full, but none of it belonged to her. When she finally chose to prioritize herself, saying no to constant favors, carving space for her own work, her own joy, many called her distant. Some even called her unkind. But over time, those same people learned to respect her presence in a way they never had before. Why? Because when you treat yourself as a priority, you train the world to follow suit. And here lies the paradox. Putting yourself first often feels like loss at the beginning. You will lose people who only valued your compliance. You will lose the illusion of harmony that came from betraying your needs. But what you gain is worth infinitely more: clarity, peace, and the steady strength that comes from living in alignment. You learn that love without boundaries is not love. It is consumption. You learn that loyalty without self-respect is not virtue. It is self-erasure. Seneca said, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Choosing yourself is how you make life good. Not by lengthening it with endless obligations, but by filling it with meaning, presence, and truth. And when you live this way, you attract the right people, the ones who are not threatened by your boundaries, but comforted by them. They see that your no makes your yes more valuable. They see that your strength makes your love more real. So let's be clear. Prioritizing yourself is not about locking everyone out. It is about keeping yourself whole so you can show up with authenticity. It is about refusing to scatter your energy in places that diminish you. It is about deciding that your life belongs to you first, and only then can it be given freely to others. As we close this chapter, remember this: you were not born to be an accessory to other people's stories. You were born to be the author of your own. When you choose yourself, you don't just protect your peace, you protect your purpose. And the moment you live with that truth, you no longer walk as someone desperate for respect. You walk as someone who carries it. And from here, the journey turns toward the final frontier, raising your standards so high that your very life becomes the filter, drawing in what is worthy and letting everything else fall away. Entering this final chapter, picture a line drawn firmly in the ground. On one side is who you are, on the other is everything that tries to pull you lower: disrespect, chaos, mediocrity. That line is your standard, and every time you hold it, you rise. Every time you shift it, you sink. Now imagine how many times you swore you wouldn't bend, yet the moment someone close pressed harder, you gave in. You told yourself it was compassion, understanding, patience, but in truth, it was self-betrayal. Seneca warned, "He who does not prevent what he can, consents to it." When you lower your standard, even once, you teach others how little you value yourself. I once knew a man who tolerated disrespect in silence because he feared being alone. Each time he made an exception, his circle grew louder and his peace grew smaller. Until one day he realized he was surrounded not by friends, but by people who stayed only because it was easy to take from him. The moment he raised his standard, half of them disappeared, and the half that remained, those were his true companions. Here's where the strength lies. Your standards are not rules for others to follow. They are declarations of who you are. They say, "I will not accept less than respect. I will not give my time where it is wasted. I will not hand my energy to those who do not value it." And once you embody that, people adjust, or they walk. Both outcomes are victories. At this stage, accept the cost. Raising your standard may cost you comfort. It may cost you relationships. But what you gain, clarity, peace, self-respect, is worth infinitely more. You no longer live by exceptions. You live by truth. You no longer beg to be chosen. You choose yourself. And when you do, life itself begins to shift. The wrong people fall away. The right ones draw closer. Your presence becomes a privilege, not a given. And the freedom you once searched for, it arrives quietly the moment you stop lowering the line you were born to hold. The greatest act of strength is not loud or dramatic. It is simple, steady, and alive in the way you honor yourself each day. The moment you recognize your own worth and choose to live by it, you stop waiting for the world to grant you permission. You no longer chase approval, no longer beg to be understood, no longer bend to fit where you were never meant to belong. Instead, you carry yourself with quiet certainty, and that presence alone reshapes the way others treat you. Respect is not something you ask for. It is something you embody. And when you embody it, life begins to mirror that energy back to you. The doors that once closed begin to open. The voices that once tried to silence you grow faint. What remains are the people, the spaces, and the opportunities that align with your true value. So let this be your reminder. Knowing your value is powerful, but living it is transformational. Comment, "Stand tall," as your affirmation. If this message resonates, subscribe so you continue walking this path with clarity and strength. Stay rooted in who you are. Trust the path that unfolds when you refuse to shrink. The next step of this journey will take us deeper into the art of turning challenges into victories. And you are ready for it.